All right, who's ready for some more OPNsense deep dive into the reporting module? And here we have packets coming in, and we can see we can filter on which interface we want to see, LAN, WAN, and this is packets per second, so I don't have to go through this. You can toggle these on and off for in block and out block. Under system, we can see states, we can see processor or CPU temperature. That would be interesting to see. No data on the CPU temperature. Aha. So there's something that doesn't seem to work. I don't know if it's just because of a particular hardware that I'm using. Anyways, let's go into traffic, which is going to be probably the most valuable here. And let's go on to the WAN side, and we can see this is in bytes per second. I don't think there's a way of changing this from bytes to like megabytes or gigabytes or something, but this is a 10-minute average on the WAN interface, and we can see that we can even go in higher resolution here. Just 20 hours, we can shoot down to 60 hours, we can shoot down 77 days, so that's since inception. And then we have VPN users, which is pretty cool. So we can see on the VPN interface, VPN users that are currently logged in. Now I do have 2 tunnels running right now, but I don't think that's considered inbound VPN users. This would be on the OpenVPN side. So Insight is really cool. Now Insight needs to be paired with NetFlow. So you can see here, if you go into NetFlow, you need to select your LAN interface and your WAN interface. And you can see right here, collect NetFlow data on this firewall for use with Insight. So we turn that on. We leave this at version 9. There's no reason not to select the higher version here. And it's going to create like a local listening server here on this port. So once you have that turned on, you apply that. You can see that there's only, it only keeps 100 megs of data cache. So once you have that turned on, you can go into Insight and you can start seeing with a lot more granularity what's going on the network side from whatever interface you want to choose here. So if I just go on the WAN side, I can quickly see all the ports here, and I can see all the WAN IP destinations, sending and receiving side on the WAN interface. And down here I can see totals, packets, and in bytes of data over the last, this is 2 hours and 30-second average. So over the last 2 hours, total is almost 900 megabytes in, and I can let's go 8 hours. Over 8 hours, I can see it's almost 4 gigs in, and I can flip, and this will correspond because again, this is only traffic that the firewall is seeing, so it's not picking up intra-switch traffic between localhost to localhost. For that, you need to do some port mirroring. You need to have the right switch to do that in a listening interface as well. So this is a great graph just to show you it's much better than the default traffic graph. That this is okay. This gives you a generalization, but this is much more granular here. And if we want, we can go to details. And in my last video, you can really dig down. And if you're looking for a specific port, or you're looking for a specific source IP that you might be looking at traffic on the network, you can just do that right here. And obviously you can export this to a CSV file as well. And you can, this gives you a good idea. If you're trying to troubleshoot a network, and you're seeing a lot of data over the course overnight or something, and you're suspicious, this is what's going to let you dig down deeper here. All right, so that's Insight. And remember, NetFlow needs to be turned on. And remember to toggle full help if you need some of these explained in further details. In the settings tab here, I think what this is for is if your table data gets skewed or there's some problem with the graphs, you can reset that data. You can reset the NetFlow data. Graphs will not be allowed to be recreated within 1 minute interval. Please take this into account after changing the style. So I haven't messed with any of these. These reports, I believe, are default. I don't know why you would want to delete any of these. You probably want to collect as much information as possible. And then under here, under traffic, we have, again, it's something similar to Insight, just a lot more bare bones. One thing I forgot to mention here is if you go back into Insight and you go 2-hour average and you click on reverse lookup, it's going to give you straight IP addresses mostly. And if you do a reverse, it's going to do a quick, there you go. It's going to try to resolve some of those IPs by name. And now we're going to move on to something a little more advanced here, services, pairing Insight with Ntopng. Now Ntopng is going to give us a lot more detail about what's going on with traffic. This has to be enabled, and the interface that you want to monitor, right now it's on LAN, but you can also change this, I believe, in the I'll show you in a second, but you have to, by default it runs on port 3000 locally, and then you can also add an HTTPS port. If you do add an HTTPS port, when you hit the HTTP URL, it's going to automatically redirect you to HTTPS. You do have to have a certificate bound, obviously, with the HTTPS, and you can tell it in what DNS mode you want it to resolve. Say decode DNS responses and resolve only local numeric IPs, decode DNS responses and resolve all numeric IPs. So, depending on what you're looking at. So once that is enabled, you can go to, let's say here, my port 3000. My doggy is, so once you go to port 3000, it'll ask you to log in, but it's already logging in because it has it cached here. Let's start with the dashboard. Dashboard is going to show you talkers. So what IPs are talking to what nodes on the network. And this is updated right now by default every 5 seconds. So it's constantly changing. You can pause it. You can change this to, a larger value if you're doing some network troubleshooting. You can also see by hosts. You can see that 145 is the top talker at this moment. You can see what ports, top protocols, ASN, senders, blah, 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 blah. Flows is really cool because right now we have, this will show you all the active flows in the firewall states table. And you can see we have a bunch of pages of this, and we can actually say, okay, well, 50 per page. And we can see that right now the interface is bound to LAN because that was set on the configuration page here of Ntopng, which I had this as LAN. If I set this to none, I can choose it from here, from this interface tab. If I choose Rogers, my WAN, it will choose Rogers. So right now I just have it set on the LAN interface, and I can see all the state tables here, and I can see, okay, well, my Antergos machine is connected over TeamViewer, and I have a Chromecast that's talking to some Canadian IP address, and if I want, I can filter by host. I can say local only. I can search for a host. I can say 172.16.20. Oops. I can say 145, and it'll just show me what's going on with 145. You can see now the host is 145, and I get a lot more information here once I click on a host. So if I just go back to flows, and I just click on anyone, let's say, i5 PC on this port, I can see that that's a Windows 10 box. And I get all the information here on the bandwidth that it's using. I can also do a packet capture here. I can dig down and see a lot more granularity of what type of traffic, packets, ports, peers. I can see who right now we're connected to. Obviously, there's connections on over TeamViewer here and Google services. I can see here some ICMP. So you get look at this. This is great, right? This is amazing. I can see all the protocols it's been using. DNS queries. So it's really just a lot of information going on. Let's go back to flows. I'm going to go to hosts, and you can see I can filter by MAC. I can filter by network. There's IPv6 network there. I can filter by pools. I can filter by ASNs. You can see here by country. You can see right now thing is Looking Glass. So that will just give you a general overview of like all the local IPs here. And what's really cool is if I go to GeoMap, if you set this up properly, you can see visually where all the connections are. So you can see that there's my connection to, where is that exactly? Austria, Vienna, Austria. And then we have a bunch in the US. Let me take something that I know is chatty on the network. What's probably the most chatty machine on the network? Not being idle. Probably Windows. So this machine is doing absolutely nothing. I mean, I'm not doing anything with it. It's just a file server. Let's just see who it's connected to. Flows. Oh, it's not talking to anybody. That's interesting. I'm quite shocked. Oh no, it's talking to somebody. So if I go hit this globe here, if I have my GeoIP set up properly, I can actually see I guess probably the only active state of this computer right now. And I can see that it's connected to Des Moines on that IP address. And who is that? It's Microsoft Corporation. Go figure. So it tells me here, I can also do a IP, a whois lookup, and I can see that the name is Microsoft and it is registered to Microsoft Corporation. So it has an active connection. Of course it does. Why wouldn't it? Let's go to a machine that has a lot that's very active. I would say that the machine that I'm using right now is probably the most active. Let's go here. Let's go to Geo. And I can see that I have a bunch of connections right now. Can I full screen that? I have a bunch of connections right now into mostly the United States, and one obviously across way over into Vienna that's connected to that's basically TeamViewer running over there. So, and I can jump in and I can see with more granularity where I'm connected to. So this is just amazing. So I really like this feature. If you think something's going on the network and you're unsure, and you pull up this map and you're seeing connectivity like to Russia or China or, South America, you're going to be questioning those connections, and you're going to be able to just click and dig a little deeper, and you can say, wait, you know what? This is not legit traffic. Let's block some of this stuff. So then, we can go back into our OPNsense here. We can go into the firewall and we can start blocking things, or maybe we can start turning on some rule sets based on some IDS rules that, we think might be happening. So anyways, you can also click on this. The errors portion is just some built-in errors thing. It's saying that this host is a flutter. You're going to get some false positives here. I'm pretty sure this machine is not doing anything it shouldn't be. If I grab this guy, I can just do a packet capture. So if I just do a 1-minute packet capture, you'll see that, well, you can't see it because I don't have it in OBS here, but it's going to save it as a PCAP file. Then you can just go ahead and open it in Wireshark or whatever your favorite packet capture application is. In the main settings of Ntopng, you'll see that there are a bunch of preferences here that you can set cache times, you can set alerts. I don't have this going to a syslog, but I actually want to get that set up. So there's also some customization here, like log level, trace logging. You do need a Google API browser key to set up the map. I'm going to go through the GeoIP portion in a little more depth because I had some problems setting it up with this version of OPNsense, so I might be able to give somebody a hand there on what I had to do to get it up and running. And I would highly recommend installing this. This gets installed via system firmware plugins. It will be available here that you can just click on the plus sign here, but you can see that OS Ntopng is installed, as well as some of the other ones I have here. So, hey, look, we're still on the latest version of OPNsense, which is good. And if you guys want to see anything if you guys want to dig a little deeper here, want me to test anything with reporting side. So anyways, thank you guys for watching Grumpy Old IT. Until next time.